everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Blackout Tips Podcast. I'm your host, Rod, joined as always by my co-host,
Karen.
And we're live on a Saturday morning, ready to do some feedback. Find us everywhere you find podcasts. The official weapon of the show is
folding chair.
And the unofficial sport,
bullet ball.
And bullet ball, extreme. Of course, you know, show notes stuff. Let's just do this all up front, okay? We did our live show last night. It went off. It was dope. It was fun. I would say it went off without a hitch, but that's not true. It was hitches, but we were kind of prepared for a lot of the hitches. But there were people who watched it virtually. I don't know how many had the issue, but some people were having issues with the sound where it was too hot, like it was up too loud at times, like especially when we played music. Some people even said when the audience was cheering, it would get too loud on the Zoom. Well, we got a couple things. One, I have the audio from our backup recording. So that audio, I listened to it this morning. It is a little pitchy, but it's not like unlistenable or too loud to the point where you're like, oh my God, I can't hear the show or whatever. I'm going to email that audio out to everyone who had virtual tickets. So you guys will get a copy of that audio for sure. And then the actual video recording, it takes a couple days to get that back. So it'll probably be sometime next week before I actually get the Zoom video recording. They may do something with the sound to try to like even it out, make it sound a little bit better than it did for those who are having issues during the live stream.
Right.
If not, I will, and maybe there's someone in the audience, or I'll just reach out someone professionally or something. I'm sure there are people that can take the audio that I have from our backup in-house recording and sync it to the video of the Zoom so that you'll get the full experience.
Right.
I'll be looking into that. I have everyone's email address who had tickets for the virtual thing. So I'll make sure to do that. I'll also put it behind the paywall for our premium people. And so everyone who got who paid for that experience will still get that experience. And if you still have issues after all that, email me, and I'll see if I can like get your money back or something. If anybody was like that unsatisfied, we're not trying to make anybody feel like, they should get a bad product. So,
right.
But hopefully doing those things will satisfy everybody, to some extent. The real tea is when I got there. So this is how I call myself being prepared for the show. I bought a brand new mixer, like a brand new, never before taken out the box,
never before used
mixer from the same mixer I have here that works all the time. I was like, let me get this mixer for when we do live events, so I don't even have to unplug anything here. We just plug and play over there.
Yeah, because we've used it before.
But I've never used this mixer particularly, and for some fucking reason, it would not register to record on my local PC, meaning when I was doing the show, I could not see the wave patterns on the recording so I can see how loud or quiet it is. So I had to just kind of go off of ear and in-house and then trust that they get that squared away on their end. And so it got a little pitchy. It's not their fault. It's totally just technology failed. It's no one... if anyone's fault, it's my fault because I didn't test that mixer before I hooked it up for the first time, assuming why would this plug and play mixer that has never been used, why would it not work? But it doesn't fucking work. So that was a bummer, and I hate that messed up anyone's experience live at all.
Agreed.
I understand it wasn't a lot of people. Many people I see today saying I watched it on the stream and I loved it and blah blah blah. But for those handful of people that didn't enjoy it or just had an issue with just the recurring sound thing, I'll try to do what I can to make sure you get a better sounding version. But that housekeeping done up front, we want to get to y'all's feedback and stuff because y'all did leave feedback. But I know some of y'all are curious about just how the show went, all that stuff. In the briefest, fastest way to put it, it was fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was very enjoyable. I can speak for me personally. This show right here was the most comfortablest I've ever felt. I was just full of energy. I wasn't nervous. I wasn't none of that stuff. I was just full of energy. and we've done this enough to where I've kind of adjusted myself. Like I know how to disperse that energy a little bit better than I previously did. So I didn't wake up asking Roger a bunch of questions, trying to do last minute shit that didn't need to be done and all that stuff. I was just chilling. So for me, it was a very fun and a very enjoyable experience. And also for me, it's not the same, but this particular show, because of the closeness and the smallness, and just kind of we drew the audience in this time.
The intimacy of the space.
Yeah, the intimacy of the space reminded me of the show we did in DC with Chris and Brandon and all of them.
NegroCon.
Yes. It gave me that same vibe where it was like it was a very special show, like it was like you almost kind of had to be there to experience it type of thing. And some of those same people we did that show were at this show too, like some of the same people. And so it was and I think that nostalgia it just made the day just very special to me.
Yeah, I was definitely overwhelmed with like just the amount of people that hopped on a plane in this day.
Yeah, a lot of people
hopped on a plane. You know, when you got to check the forecast for planes, like it's a 70% chance of planes crashing today. So like I was very like taken aback by just the people that did that. I was very impressed and very, like people, obviously our audience, when we did the VIP pictures and stuff and just everyone's story and, getting to see and hug people. So many people were starting to see multiple times and you just start remembering like, wait, they was at the last show. And even though we don't always remember everyone's name, I forgot to put the name tags out, but even though we don't always remember everyone's name, like it's still like, I remember that face. I remember the jokes. I remember things we shared. People like taking a minute to just tell you how much they appreciate you and shit you've been through with
and stuff
they've been through, listening to the podcast, people telling you about like, I had an hour and 45-minute commute. You guys got me to work every day and stuff like that, where, back when people were telling us like make the show shorter or no one wants to hear a podcast that
they
long.
Used to complain about that.
You don't know everybody, and I don't know. We seem to have been successful at this, so maybe shut the fuck up and just do what the fuck you gonna do. But sorry, I didn't mean to get testy, but I'm just saying, how many years did we need to hear that bullshit? Where it's like
we
clearly
heard it for a very long time.
We have an audience. Maybe it's not the audience size you would like.
There are plenty of shows that can do a 10-minute, 30, 45-minute show, and you can listen to them and keep it trucking.
Yeah, go start you a podcast and see if you can do better than us.
Right.
But yeah, then the venue people were amazing. Andrew, really who was the sound guy, who just like got everything like working with us. Corey, who helped do all the like event planning and stuff, and like they set up the space. Everything was as they said it would be. Anything that we needed changed, like it's like, oh no, we can get rid of these tables or we can do this. They were on top of it.
Help me with the step and repeat, because I had no idea how to put that together.
Shout out to shout out to all of those people that came through like for the VIP. Don Rivera was there with his wife Tiana. That's a long time coming meeting that I don't think we've ever met in person before.
We haven't. They've tried and something would always happen and they couldn't make it.
So like it meant a lot that they made it down, to see us, and that, they was, there in person, getting to chop it up, and I got to finally hug him and tell him, I'm sorry for his Sixers, in the way that only a Charlotte Hornets fan can understand the pain. And then JL Covan was there. My parents were there. My niece Layla was there, being grown. My Justin came, of course, and JL was just amazing. Like he did about 20 so minutes up front.
It's hilarious.
And we got to sit in the audience. Honestly, this is one of my favorite things about doing the live show, is that we've been able to bring comedians down the 3 or 4 times that we've done it on our own.
Yes.
I think 3 of the times we've been able to 3 times we've been able to bring comedians down and like pay them for their time, put them up in a hotel, because I think it matters how you treat people and shit.
It does.
And also, these are talented people. We're not just bringing in people that are slouches or people that's like, I hope they funny. Like, it's people we know is funny. And seeing them get to do their thing in front of the audience was like some dope ass shit. You know what I mean? Like, I really, like, watching JL do his thing for 20 minutes was just fucking, I was sitting in the audience laughing. Like, I was a fan for that 20 minutes, and then it's like, oh yeah, he's about to bring us on. I'm like trying to hit the music and shit, like, oh fuck. At one point I fucked the music up.
Yes.
And you could hear it because I was doing something on my phone, and so I was playing the audio through Spotify on my computer, which was through the house speakers. And I accidentally hit the button to like Denzel Curry's song while JL was talking about how he used to cheat in college, and he worked it into the joke.
He did.
It was so perfect. You would have thought we playing that shit.
And we did not.
It was a complete accident, and we fixed it. But it was just like, man, he's such a great professional. And you know, I told my dad before JL showed up, like, oh yeah, he's like, who's a comedian? I was like, JL Covan. It's like, oh man, he's the best Trump impressionist, and he does a lot of voices and all this stuff. And my dad's like, oh, okay, you know, like, I wasn't sure how familiar he was with his game,
right?
But it was that thing where, because my dad wasn't like, oh yeah, because my dad is up on so much. He knows all the shit. He's sending me shit off of YouTube, all the stuff, and so him not knowing JL was a treat for me, because I was like, oh, you don't even know how good this is gonna be. You think like you think that like, oh, it'll be like nice, okay, a comedian of it, and like, no. And I was sitting next to my dad, and when JL like goes into the Trump, Elon Musk, John Bernthal's period, and my dad's just losing it. Man, it just felt so good to have that. You know, my mom did your hair and makeup and all that stuff. So you had the locks flowing on these hoes to let them know.
I did. I had a very good time. I really do enjoy your mama doing my makeup and all that stuff, you know. And she was joking about me being a princess. I do feel like a princess, and have my hair going and makeup and all that stuff. And
well, you normally don't do that kind of stuff just on your own, or
no, I don't know how
on normal, like, so. You know, I think people just don't. They just not familiar with your game till they hit them in the face.
until they see it, and it was beautiful.
And, I was gonna say, no, go ahead. No, you go.
Oh, and I was gonna say, shout out to the VIP people. You Negroes showed up on time. Y'all was lining up and everything, and and I looked. I was like, let me go get Roger. I was like, these Negroes was like, let's get this party started.
The other thing that was cool was the theme of the show was viewer's choice. So we and look, this is something that I feel like I just kind of made this up. I don't know if any other podcast has done this or does this, but I know our show has all these segments and this, and I know fans like it. I this might be the live show format going forward. Like, I liked it that much, where like, because every time I try to come up with something different, like it was retelling, you know, Bullet Ball Extreme, you know, all that type of stuff. But man, y'all coming up to the mic and then saying what your segment is, and then us playing the music and then all that stuff, that was like a super cool moment, where we got to like have fun, everyone singing along to the songs and all of that stuff. So that was like a cool experience. And then we gave away prizes to everybody who like picked a segment, regardless if they like won the game or not, just whatever segment they picked. And so that was fun.
Yeah. And also, I would like to give a shout out to Felt 5, because we actually met him in person. This is the first time we've ever seen him in person.
Right.
And I really appreciate Felt 5 actually feeling the love from the audience.
Yeah, it was important.
Yes.
And also, like, when we playing his song, him doing his own ad-libs, in the, like, live, like, it's on the song, but then it's, you know, like, you hearing him, like, where it's like, every day we get into this paper. And then he's in there like, yeah. And I'm like, yeah. We get into this. That was dope as fuck, man.
Yeah, so
very talented dude.
So just know I appreciate him feeling the love that people feel when they're riding through their vehicles at home or streaming and things like that. And he's very, very talented. And I remember the photographer, this first time we worked with this photographer, and she had never heard of the show before I contacted her, and she was telling me how she was just amazed how people was like traveling all over and how we were interacting with them.
People,
and
Mary came from California.
Yes, they would come from Florida, driving from New Jersey. Like they was like, we coming to see y'all, and
it was very few people that was straight from Charlotte. There was some that we knew from Charlotte, you know, Ryan and Christine, who, you know, Ryan did the Queen City. He's the Queen City Nerve, like editor or publisher or owner or whatnot. Probably all of them.
Yeah, probably all of them.
And Christine, who I follow, I've been following her on Twitter for a long time, and I know she works a lot with like local nonprofit type stuff. They was there from Charlotte. Walker. Walker Mel, who people know from WFNZ, our local sports radio station, and also if you're a sicko like myself, the Hornets, Locked On Hornets podcast.
Yes, Locked On Hornets.
So he was there, you know, and you know, just obviously people with friends and family, some of those people we know, but yeah, it always feels like such a collection of warm, good people that can share a space together, and it's not about a space of like you know, like it's a space that is inclusive and warm and nice and friendly, and to see that reflected in our audience, it just is something about that will always like make me so proud, because I'm like, I feel like the ultimate reflection of yourself is your audience. If you like, everyone thinks that, I don't know, if I've learned anything throughout this whole journey, it's been that whatever your audience is, that's you.
Yes.
So whether you accept that or not, is that then you should make, if you want like your audience to change, you should change. So if you're like, man, assholes show up and they try to troll and say mean shit to me, it's probably because you can be an asshole and you say mean shit to people. If you're like, people always want to argue, it's probably because you always want to argue. If you're like, people out here doxing and attacking people, it's probably because you do similar shit. You encourage it with your voice. And so just like the negative is true, so is the positive.
It is.
And you have to accept those flowers. So like when we are in this space and everyone's like communing, everyone's like celebrating, everyone's mingling, everyone's like, you know, so positive and affirming, it really does mean something to me, because I'm like, that's who the fuck the Blackout Tips is, and that's what I felt last night, and that felt like amazing.
It did. And also shout out to the staff, because I'm just being mean, and
this is more of a shout out to yourself. That's pretending to be a shout out to the staff, but go ahead.
It is a shout out to me.
Don't worry, staff, if y'all listening, I'll give y'all a little shout out in a second. Go ahead, Kim.
The shout out to the staff, they were very helpful.
Don't try to switch it up to what you was gonna say. That's not what you was gonna say.
Okay, that is not what I was gonna say.
Say the truth.
Okay, shout out to the staff. The staff was watching my energy and things like that, and they was like, "You have such a lovely energy." They were talking about like my energy level so high, and they were very, very helpful in things like that. And at the end of the show, you know, some of them came down, was like, "Y'all did a great job. Y'all did a great show," and stuff like that. So it was really cool and fun interacting with the staff. And when we was backstage, somebody came backstage and they was like, somebody said that they had missed the meet and greet and they wanted to meet you behind stage.
It wasn't somebody's. It was a few people.
Yes.
But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Had some of the staff was like, yeah, and I was like, okay. So me and Roger finally got back there, and when I tell you, I'm not gonna lie, y'all, this made my night. It was a very old friend of mine from college. I haven't seen her in like probably 20 years. And what was amazing, we had lost touch. And I think about her often, but I had no idea how to reach her, how to contact her, or anything. And we RA'd together, and we've had a very, very special relationship. Always nice, always kind, always friendly, always loving. Just a very sweet-spirited person. And so I thought I had lost her. And and actually like maybe a few days ago, maybe a week or two ago, I thought about her. And so she was saying that she was online And she was saying, I guess since we've probably been pushing and promoting and pumping stuff out, she was saying that we randomly fell through one of her feeds. And she said she looked, and because she's known us since college. And so she was like, that look like Rod and Karen. She was like, I think that is. She was like, I'm going to go to the show. And she came to, and I'm so glad she did. And so I got her number and got up with her. We took pictures and things like that. And I told her I wanted to get up and like go out to dinner or something like that so we could just sit and talk. And so that made my night. And I told the lady, because it was like one of the last people who told us that somebody was back there. And I told her, I said, thank you so much, baby. I said, because this meant a lot to me. That I really got to meet her. And Roger was back there with us and all that stuff and things like that. And it really meant the world to actually see her.
Yeah, I put a picture of it on my Instagram, I believe, of y'all meeting up for the first time in a long time as a surprise. So yeah, it was fun.
A total surprise.
And shout out to the staff, like they were courteous, very professional. They were selling drinks in the actual area we were at, and it never was disruptive. Everybody was cool about it. They handled the VIP meet and greet line. All of that stuff was dope. It's like real seamless, helpful people that just it feels like they're rooting for you. A lot of stuff comes through that venue, but I know not everybody that comes through is like our podcast and our audience. So to have that like professional fun atmosphere that just really got the vibe right and was able to play off of the stuff we were doing on the fly, like when we're playing the games and selecting people from the audience and they're like raising the house lights so we can see people in the back and all of that stuff. That was just such a good time.
Had a great and wonderful time, and thank you for everybody that came out, and thank you for everybody that live streamed and things like that. You made the night really, really special. And afterwards, me and Roger and JL went out to eat and had a great dinner and everything. And it ended up being a beautiful, beautiful night.
Yeah, thank you. And yeah, we finally got to try Sea Level. I walked by that place
a lot, and
I always just go, that place looks expensive.
That's what I said.
But I'm gonna try it one day. And like JL paid for it, which is why JL's so bad at business, man. Like,
ain't he bad at be terrible at business? I wanted to pay for his meal.
We paid him this money so he could come down here and feel appreciated and loved and respected as the comedian that he is, that is deserving of those things. Do not give us the money back in food.
Yes, he gave us the money back in food.
And then with it being JL, I always got to worry that it's going to be like a podcast 2 weeks from now where he's got a gun in his mouth half the episode. Like, and then the train was late, and then I took pictures, but it didn't feel like everyone wanted to take the picture with me. And then
yeah, he was like,
this is why I should have quit comedy 5 years ago. I basically was just there to help put up the step and repeat because I didn't need a ladder to do it.
Right, because I'm talking to hell. Was like,
and then I bought them dinner, but the credit card was rejected because my bank was hacked. Because Ronan Raphael hugged me and he got into my Venmo account. And I didn't know what was going on. So now, thank you, Rod and Karen, for keeping me in the worst existence in the world. So
for 5 more years until I really decide to quit this time.
Right.
JL is hilarious because it was one of those things where people came there taking photos with us. They taking photos with Justin and JL. And JL was like, Karen is treating me like a charity case. Like, no, the people come and these people know you and they want to see you too. So they want to take pictures with you also.
Right.
And so, they wanted to show you love. So I'm glad that y'all showed JL all the love and y'all let JL know that he got more than 5 fans.
Yeah, it was funny, man. It was and then when we were playing games, I had Justin, JL, and Karen rotate picking people out of the audience to like come up. It's a lot of pressure. And at first, like only a couple people put their hands up, whatever. But as we were giving out prizes and it was getting more fun and people getting excited, you could see all the hands going up. Mm-hmm. And it was funny because I think JL picked the last person. And it was our girl Sin, who, writes in all the time and stuff. Mm-hmm. And And so he picked her. She was way in the back, and he picked her. And so she comes up there and gets, she gets her a prize, and she also defended Karen. Was like, y'all stop writing and talking bad about Karen.
Right.
And then when I went to give her, because we were almost out of prize. I think we just had decorative like little chair.
Yeah,
things.
because Roger was like, start again. I was like, you too quick on the draw, buddy.
I didn't know the timing, but
yeah.
They but then she says like she whispered in my ear like, I knew JL was gonna pick me because I had the titties out. I was like, she played the game to win.
Yes,
okay?
play to win.
Someone was gonna pick them titties, okay? And JL loves a rack. Okay, he said it's in his stand up. He knows.
Yeah,
that was so fun, man.
Shout out to him. And Ronnie Raphael was like somebody said, chat room surprise guest. I had no idea he was there until he walked up. I was like, oh my God, are you serious?
Keith Malley was there.
Yes, and I didn't see, and the thing about, I picked Keith, but
he didn't tell us he was coming or anything. I didn't know he was even in town this week.
Me either.
Because sometimes when he comes to town, he'll like hit us up and be like, whatever. Like even if it's just to be like, I'm gonna be in town for a week. But total surprise. Him and his girlfriend Liz were there. And Karen like picked him to do a segment, and as a white dude, he decided not to take any prizes during our month.
Reparations.
But man, goddamn, that was fucking fun, man. Goddamn,
it was great.
That was so good.
Yes, to see a lot of people in the flesh that we have never seen before and shit like that. It was a ball. Y'all made my night.
I felt like everyone got to have, like, if you weren't familiar or if you didn't know certain elements of our show, you got to experience it.
Yes.
It wasn't just one thing. So like if you were a person that had, I'm more into the political side, you got a little bit of that, but then you also got to get some of the silliness. If you wanted to get into like, if there's people that are there for just like guess the race, there's people that are also there and they got to hear a little bit of the LGBTQ news segment, stuff like that. It meant a lot to me, man. That was so fun. I was extremely comfortable with it as well, but I'm always comfortable with with the show or whatever. I always feel like I'm in my bag. So although it is funny because like there's things in my mind that are funny, and when we're doing the podcast, there's no live audience other than chat. And so there's something that might be tickling me inside where I'm like, this is funny. And in the live audience is interested to see like when the audience is like, oh my God, this is funny. And when it's just like funny to me. Not that it changes anything. It's still funny to me, but I'm like, oh, okay, they're not feeling that. All right. The next segment is.
And what's so funny to me is when you do a live audience, you hear people's live responses. Yeah. They normally say that behind their computer in their job at their work.
Miss Smart was like turned up in like the second row. I was like, oh man, I can hear. So this was like when the chat is alive.
Yes, when the chat is alive and well. And I really appreciate when we played the songs. People they knew the words,
they were singing
the lyrics,
them.
And it was very enjoyable to feel that vibe of, oh, so y'all actually be feeling what we're feeling at the house. You know what I'm saying? Because, it's just me and Roger. So sometimes we don't get to actually feel the vibe. And so some of our favorite songs are y'all favorite songs. Some of our, things are y'all things. And so it was beautiful to hear that. And also I'm glad that the audience got to see other audience members that they only see in the chat, that they only see right in. Y'all got to see each other in person too. So it was just a beautiful experience for y'all to mingle amongst yourselves and take pictures and pics and things to people that you've had these online functioning relationships in the community for a very long time.
Yeah, and just go ahead and make sure that y'all, check your Venmos, your Skypes, your Zelles, your bank accounts. Make sure it hasn't been hacked or whatever. If y'all were sitting close to Miss Smart or Raphael, I also by mistake gave Miss Smart a tarot card reading set. So like, make sure y'all be careful how you get your readings and stuff. All right, we got to get into the show because we could do this all day, and I would like to do other things today. So I'm gonna play music, and then we're gonna come back and we're gonna actually start the feedback show in earnest.
Where my money at? You a blood clot lie. What you talking about?
let's get into the show in earnest. Of course, you know, the first thing we got to do is shout out to people that gave us money. You can donate to the show, support the show, theblackouttips.com. Look on the right hand side if you're on a browser, on your PC or something like that, a laptop. If you're on a phone, turn it sideways and you can put money in on the show. You can give recurring donations one time. It doesn't matter how much, you get the same shout out.
May I have your attention? You are now listening to Charlotte's own Rod and Karen. We welcome the good folks who tithe to the Black Guy Who Tips.
Oh yeah, new, I don't know, cash, new.
I knew something.
Blast. Oh, who knows, guys? I'm tired. Joe, hit us with the current donation. Thank you very much. Dorothea S, we appreciate you. We're big in the Dorothea community. Jason F, thank you. Tyrone M, call him. Waste Bees by Sura. Allison H, Deborah O, Stefan H, Michael F, Michael Irvin the Playmaker, Corey B, Mary H. It's weird now knowing that we got to see some of these people last night. Jonathan H, Jeff M, Michael W, Early Daisy Photography, Marvin B, yes, Marvin B, Mako W, Nicole F, J4, shout out to J4, Asia D, Chriselle B, Annie P, Don G, Tom W Jr., David from Brooklyn, Michael S, JN, Dana R. That's everybody. Thank you so much for putting in on this, y'all. We got one new 5-star review. It's from $1 Million Joy, who says, glad to have found you. I found you via Karen Hunter's podcast, and I'm now an avid listener. Keep bringing the jokes, facts, and spot-on commentary. Thank you.
Come on through, Karen Hunter.
Come through. There was some Karen Hunter people in the building yesterday, too.
It was. Shout out to Karen Hunter.
Yep. They was like, oh, you know, I'm a Karen Hunter rebel. I was like, let's go, rebels. Let's do it. All right, let's get to these episodes. Episode 3055, drug operas, 11 comments, which is my fault, guys. It's not really 11 comments. I was just trying to reply to people in real time, and that was a mistake. I should just let y'all cook till Saturday.
I'm about to say, you can respond on Saturday.
Because here it is on Saturday, and I don't give a fuck anymore, so it's like, oh, man, I should have waited. Anyway, Appia says, I'd like to see a drug opera, but of course, here it is prohibited because of ethics and customer protection. Well, y'all got laws and shit over in Germany. It's different.
Right? Y'all
here.
got laws.
We just pure capitalism over here. Without Karen, there would be this would not be the same show. She is absolutely important for the Black Guy Who Tips, and I really like her. How dare people disrespect her?
Thank you.
I agree. None of them people showed up to the live show disrespecting. I know that much. Because they would have got jumped. Why do people do that? I'll never understand it, man, because I am a podcast listener as well. I'm not just a person that makes podcasts. I listen to a lot of podcasts. I'm a big fan of a lot of podcasts.
Me too.
When I tell y'all, I've sent feedback to podcasts before. I've communicated with hosts on social media, all this stuff. I am not joking. In my 20 years listening to podcasts, I have never written one of these nasty ass letters to anyone.
Never.
Ever.
If I feel like that way, I'll just stop listening.
If I truly did feel the way someone feels about the stuff they claim to feel, I would just listen to something else. There's so many other shows.
My time is too precious.
To write in and tell somebody their spouse doesn't bring anything to the show and then expect
them to take it well.
Expect respectful, like, back and forth conversation is an insane thing to even believe.
Right. We would not have this conversation in real life.
Right. And like, if anything, I feel like I hold back because I'm like, there's a whole audience that's listening who will be turned off by me calling this motherfucker 17 different cuss words all the way to Saturday, who will be like, Rod didn't have to say all that.
I'm trying to tell you, y'all be talking about Rod. Y'all look up, y'all be like, Rod, you took it too far.
Right. So
for real.
It's actually an exercise in restraint to even respond in the way that I do. But like, no one agrees with you. Stop being a weird loser.
Right.
I don't know if I agree about the wisdom of seniors. Some are wise, but we see enough older people who are in charge and don't seem very wise but hateful. As little as all young people are better, all older people don't have wisdom. And I was like, I don't know who you disagreeing with, because that's how we feel. That's, that was my basic reply to that, was like, what you mean you don't know if you agree? I think I said throughout the conversation that, Aunt May being older does represent wisdom in that character, but there's other old people that aren't. Look at the Vulture. That nigga is evil as shit. He old as fuck.
Ain't he though? He
not wise at all. He need a Spider-Man ass whooping every week to set himself straight.
Green Goblin?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, that's another one.
But I guess one of the people in feedback must have said that something about older people being wise. I don't remember, but anyway, I shouldn't have responded. Sorry, Happy. Earthseed, I was too turned up. They was talking about my wife. Anyway, Earthseed said the send up of the Tyler Perry movies. Oh my God, that's so true. They made my day. It really did. That was very funny.
That was hilarious.
Ronan Raphael says, we have a car and I support congestion pricing. I hear the example that you know what, I would read all this. I already talked to Ronan Raphael. We talked offline about this a little bit in the DMs. But let me just sum it up by saying, Ronan Raphael is talking, I would say to me mostly, as if I don't support congestion pricing or the idea of making the environment better. That's not any of the points I was making on the show. I think a lot of good, well-intended initiatives from like governments, municipalities, cities, oftentimes you have to stay on their ass to make sure it's sustainable. And so all I was saying when they first initially talked about this was, everything is fine in theory. Once it goes into practice,
you see how it affects shit.
That's when you find out the willingness of the government to do stuff. Because one of the things we don't talk about enough, and this is liberal people as well, I'll change the topic so that I won't get two more emails about congestion pricing. But it's like when you say we need to build rehabs and prisons or jails or something like that in different communities. There's a lot of liberal people who will say, yes, we do need a rehab facility for people who are on drugs, people that need help getting out. We need to build that. And you say, cool, we're going to build it in your neighborhood. And then they go, not in my backyard.
Right.
They call them NIMBYs, but it's like not over here. Build that shit somewhere where I not by me.
Right. And I don't have to see it.
And if you let every community do that, they'll never build it anywhere, because every community, once it stops being a theory and it starts being like real, you need to put a little bit of equity on the line to make this happen. A lot of people tighten up with their wallets, their goodwill, their time. All of a sudden it's like, I just thought this was a thing I could like as a slogan, right?
Right.
Same thing happened with, ideas like defunding the police or whatever. Like you have people where when it's a theory, they're about it. When it's real, they're like, I'm less about this, right? So congestion pricing is just another version of that to me. Not that it's bad. I think restorative justice could be good. I think having rehab is a good thing. So these are all things I support. I think having less accidents at stoplights is good. When we brought that situation up, what happens is politicians are in the job of being reelected, which also means they're in the job of being liked, which means if the liberal people or anybody wavers on like the pain point of being like, yep, I don't like this now that I am having to actually deal with it, a lot of times the politicians are the ones
They'll
that tighten up
fold.
and just fold and be like, fuck it, whatever. And then what happens to that money? What happens to those promises? What happens to the people depending on that? What happens to the communities? What happened to the pollution and stuff that was supposed to go down?
Right.
Those are the things that I was like alluding to. So I don't want anyone thinking, and I think Raphael should be straight on this too, and like, this is not a argument against congestion pricing. It's not about that. This is more of a like, okay, so what's the next step to make sure it stays? Maybe you find a carve out for those people who are wage workers, who have a car for specific reasons and have to come into the city, so they're not your fat cats. Because the goal, a lot of times people wrote this off to like, well, the fat cats will do it. Maybe you have to get a waiver, and these may already exist for the record, but maybe it becomes like you need a waiver for people with disabilities.
Mm-hmm.
These
waiver
are like
for teachers and stuff.
Yeah, like these are just things, you need to make aware that these waivers exist. So that's like, listen, if you do need a car because you need a specialized vehicle to get in and out of the city, blah, blah, blah. Maybe these things exist, maybe they don't. But my point being, it's going to take adjustment and sticking with it. It can't just be we're out, we're in, we're out, we're in. And of course, what Trump is doing and the GOP, no one's ever on their side. I'm not with them. I'm sure it's a fucking dumbass reason they don't want congestion pricing.
It is.
But for whatever it is this is the bigger picture. This is the warning that I'm saying, is that if the people on the ground who are affected by it are like, actually, you know what, now that it's here, maybe Trump is right. That's the worst case scenario for Maya Wiley and everybody who promoted congestion pricing. I guarantee you, to them, the worst case scenario is Donald Trump repealing it somehow, or getting in the way of it, and the people that you were saying you wanted to help with this going, actually, I think Donald Trump is making a good point. That's the last thing you want. So you have to get in front of these issues, in my opinion. So I think that's as best as I can summarize it without it turning into like a back and forth. Mm-hmm. And I know he said also that Eric Adams' administration has nothing to do with it. It's Governor Hochul. And I hope you're right. I just don't trust that Eric Adams operates within the boundaries of his administration when he is sucking the dick of Trump right now. Maybe you do trust that he won't go all the way to the hilt, but I don't. And I feel like if Trump wants certain things to happen in New York City,
it's gonna happen.
I would not trust Eric Adams, far as I could throw him, to be like, well, the boundaries of my duties as mayor means I can't affect that. I wouldn't trust him, but that's why I won't put it past him to somehow put a finger on the scale in any way that can harm congestion pricing. I would not put it past him. Because he essentially works for Trump now.
Yes, he does.
Shoe Booty, we saw her last night. She said congestion pricing can't work as a solution to fund public transportation improvements without safe and viable public transport already in effect. It's like a transportation Ponzi scheme. Yeah, low key, that's what happened with our stoplight program here that charged people money every time they ran a stoplight. They said the money was going to the educational system, and it for somehow, even with all the money they were getting from the bills or whatever, somehow it didn't add up and the money never went there. But of course, people that like, it made it more dangerous, to be honest. We had more wrecks, not less. But still, if the whole point was like, yeah, but at the end of the day, we got millions and millions of dollars in revenue for these kids, hey, we'll we'll take the sacrifice. Turns out that wasn't even real. So you just have to stay on these programs' ass. It's not a suggestion about a specific program being like terrible. It's just hey, this is what happens with a lot of the people in the electorate. We think we voted and then our job is over.
Right.
But like, no, you have to stay involved and you have to stay connected. I know Rona Raphael will absolutely be one of those people that stays on top of it. He was so on top of it with what he said in his comments. But yeah, like, you have to be careful, because the government will say this is going to help public transportation, and then you look up a year later and public transportation is still the same, and where the fuck did the money go?
Right, because with a lot of these initiatives, only time will tell.
Right.
And, depending on some of these initiatives, certain ones, they're not new. They're initiatives that were bought up decades ago. And you're like, okay, if y'all bought this up years ago, what went wrong to make y'all give up and stop? Nobody ever thinks about tweaking it or changing it or modifying it. It's not to say that you need to trash it, but if you bought it up decades ago and it didn't work and you re-bringing some of the same initiatives up, something has to adopt. And also something that irritates me is that they always love to throw the kids in front of shit for shit like this, and then a lot of times, depending on the situation, don't do what they supposed to do for the kids, but y'all did that just so the shit would pass.
Yeah, so hopefully it works out, but I think Shoe Booty's onto something, about the idea of like part of what would make it work is having the transit that's so good that people feel safe and all this stuff, and that it works all the time. And so that if it goes, hey, the reason you have a car is maybe you find it more reliable or whatever. Well, look, our subway system is reliable, but instead it becomes like a chicken or egg thing. Give us the money so we can make the subway system reliable, and then you won't need a car. Well, I need a car because it's not reliable. Well, give us the money from the car so that it's like a transportation Ponzi scheme. We're charging more for the driving here so we can improve the subways, but there's literally no guarantee those improvements will ever come. Think of all the ways they raise fares and things are still as shitty as ever. Yeah, every time the MTA raises a fare, do people feel that on the ground where it's like this train is now more like better because I pay an extra quarter, or is it just like you feel like you paid an extra quarter and everything's the same?
Right.
Evie says, I'm not ashamed to admit I've seen every single Tyler Perry movie. Do I think they're good cinema? No, but I'm always entertained. Absolutely. Me too.
Yeah, at the end of the day, that's kind of all that matters, y'all. Are you entertained?
Come on. I believe they said that in Gladiator. Are you not entertained?
That's all that matters.
Yes. So that was drug operas. Now, what I found out through this is I forgot to put this episode on YouTube. So, hey, mistakes. Sometimes I make them. I'll put them on there later. It'll be out of order probably or something. I don't know. I fucked up, guys. But I will put this episode on there. The poll is, do you play video games? Yes, 48%. No, 52%. Man, still, that's pretty good ratio. Half and half, basically. Next episode is he doing the face under there with our homeboy Chris Lambert.
Yeah, he was doing the face.
He was doing that face. Ronan Raphael says, I was about to comment on the villain storytelling when then Rod said, just like porn, in reference to Chris saying Lily Allen was a pop star with a hit in the early 2000s. I almost died. Never changed, Rod. Thank you, Ronan Raphael. It meant a lot to me yesterday when Ronan Raphael was up there because I gave him a hug because I feel like I do. We playfully go back and forth, but I always want to make sure that people, like some people you can do that with, and he seems up for it. Like he comes back every week and talks about middle names or whatever. But some people can't take it, and it's like they really do be thinking like you don't fuck with them. And I don't take that liberty with everybody because I do know most people can't handle that. So
no, they can't.
It felt good to like give that brother a hug and let him know like, hey man,
such a good sport.
I'll be fucking with you on the show, man. I appreciate you allowing me to do that. All I kept thinking about during the Gilligan take, Gilligan take, Vince Gilligan about the villains take on villain presentation and storytelling is how some people can't get their heads around Thanos. I guess as soon as villains become relatable, it's automatically equals cool. That meant they're right. Make villains basic again. Great episode as always. Let me go get tickets to Chris. Yes. Shoe Booty says, if anything happens to me, know that my ex-husband did it. Was something I had to tell my friends amidst my divorce years ago.
Oh, boy, you be like, look, if I go missing, that's who did it.
We women consume true crime to know the threat better. Well, they be having it's a whole different reality, man. Like, that's why it's always, not that men can't be abused and all this stuff, but it's always kind of wild to me when, like, a woman talks about, like, the experience of being a woman and a dude just tries to, especially, like, in the typical cis heteronormative ways, tries to equate the two, like, well, as a dude, like, a woman one time it's like, you are not walking down the street
frightened
after coming out of the club and you see a group of fucking women and you're like, get me the fuck out of here. Hope they don't do anything to me. Yeah, that's not our reality. And it's okay to be like, there's just different perspectives and things that people have to worry about when they have a different experience and a different life and body than you.
Right.
And that's it. There's no need to try to like measure
them.
It. Yeah.
Have an oppression Olympics.
Yeah. Just look at it and go, okay, like, and you can't solve it either. Like, it's not like, you know, like I always find it weird when dudes do that thing where it's like, a woman tells them an experience they had with some creepy ass nigga, and it's like, you know what the problem is, sister. See, you wasn't dating a man, you was dating a little boy. And I'm like, I don't know. Can he rent a car? Can he vote? Can he buy alcohol? That's a man. Now, you might not like his actions, but that motherfucker has all the legal rights and recourses of a man, all the excess of a man. That's a threatening ass thing to deal with.
Ain't it though?
Motherfucker, like, this is not, it's not a little boy. A little boy can't rent a car. A little boy can't just go get a gun, possibly, you know, all that shit. A grown ass man stalking you or bothering you is a fucking problem, man.
Yes, it is.
So anyway, my point being, yeah, that's scary, but it's a reality for women that, you know, you had to tell people, your friends, like, yo, this motherfucker might crash out, and if so, like, look at him. How many true crime things have I watched where the reason they caught the person or whatever, one of the biggest things is that the person that was killed, the woman knew. She was like, this motherfucker will kill me.
Yeah, most crimes that are committed against women, regardless of what they are, be it robbery, sexual assault, killing, they know the victim. Everybody want
the perpetrator.
Yeah,
yes.
The perpetrator. Everybody want to think everybody's fucking jump out the bush. It's really, really low. Most people that can hurt you have the most access to you.
Obia says, how to not be worried about egg prices ever again. Get yourself an egg allergy like I got all after my first pregnancy. Eating eggs makes me have terrible stomach pain for hours. You'll never want eggs again, and even the smell will make you feel anxious. Thank you, my body. I feel like that's if you looking at it directly as eggs. But there's a lot of other stuff happening in the egg related economy. Like, what about foods like cake that require eggs? Them prices gonna go up. You know what I'm saying?
There's a lot of...
What about stuff like, you know, when people are, you know, looking at the economy in general and they see, like, maybe I have to kill somebody for some eggs.
Oh, no.
You know, like a dozen eggs. You see a person walking around the street with a dozen eggs, y'all,
they rich.
Y'all don't think about pulling out the hammer?
No, sir.
Okay, all right. That's just me.
At least not yet.
Shoe Booty says, okay, wait. I got input on this white people news. So a few weeks or months ago, I read a blind item that David Harbour had to go drag his naked wife out of a drug house, that she was back on the stuff. Ooh, not the blind item. Then the news breaks, they are getting divorced. I believe them blinds. Also, Joshua Jackson better pay up. He's on some new boat Dr. Drama show. He got the coins. Yeah, he on Dr. Odyssey now. I seen it. I seen the commercial. It was a big ass boat and he was on there. I was like, boy, if you don't pay your baby mama and stop bullshitting.
Stop playing in my face.
Talking about, I know it's hard for a black woman. Boy, Chris Pine will whoop your ass talking like that. Crazy. Evie says, when you did white people news on that item on Dakota Johnson, I'm surprised you didn't recognize her name from worst of 10 Sony Spider-Man villain movies. She was Madam Web. Yeah, the problem with that is, Evie, you gotta remember, I get my white actresses confused, and it's a couple of them Dakotas, and I just didn't want to.
It is several of them with that last name Dakota.
I didn't even feel like tanking it, so I was like, I don't know which one this is.
One of them Dakotas.
I'll never forget her because that movie was straight up ass. It really was a bad movie. I can't believe they put that out. Oh wait, I'm sorry. The next episode on YouTube. Okay, so on YouTube, let's see how many comments. Got 4 comments. Brett says, finally someone is saying this. Everyone mocks George Lucas for writing one-dimensional villains, but nowadays every antagonist, no matter how evil, is portrayed as having deep reasons for their actions. This creates the illusion that no one is purely evil and that everyone has good intentions, which is far from the truth. Darth Vader is a space Hitler. We should not sympathize with him because he embodies pure evil. Thanos is also pure evil and genocidal. I feel like every villain in the media is presented with nuance regardless of how atrocious their actions are. In this context, it's easy to see why people believe everything is 50-50. Democrats and Republicans are viewed as equal. Bigotry and DEI are treated the same. And it's no surprise that we're witnessing the reemergence of out in the open far-right fascism.
And also, I think for me... it also goes to show you how much people don't use critical thinking skills, because the purpose of that storytelling is to, because when it comes to entertainment, people just want black and white, good and evil. And I get it, y'all. I get it. Sometimes people they just shitty. But I like storytelling that actually gives me background story, in-depth shit about the villain. Like, for me, I actually enjoy that, because that's part of the storytelling. It don't excuse their behavior. They still ain't shit. They still bad. They still evil, but a lot of that goes to the audience, like, trying to be funny, not to the people that's creating the product. A lot of that goes towards the audience and the consumers of it, consuming it and thinking, well, it's 50-50. No, bitch, their actions today, regardless of what they went through, their actions today show that they're not a good person, and that's what matters.
Yeah, I think so. I agree with most of that too, and I think also the specific type of show that he's talking about, that Vince Gilligan makes, you don't watch, so you don't really know.
Okay, my bad.
This isn't just like the Marvel stuff he's talking about. I think is very valid and true as well. I don't mind those stories. I actually like stories where the good guy and the bad guy are just reflections of each other that were faced with similar circumstances, but one person made a different choice and it changed everything. I actually like that storytelling narrative.
Me too.
I won't, but what I do think Vince Gilligan is talking about is stuff like Breaking Bad, The Sopranos, Better Call Saul, where like the person is just a villain and you're just rooting for the villain. The show is about the villain trying to win. He's doing bad things and making moral compromises all the time. And when you extrapolate that out, it's not just the audience. That's on the storyteller.
Yeah, okay.
Like the storyteller chose to make a story about a villain and their attempt to be villainous. And whether they couched it in like understanding and empathy or not, the fact that you made that your protagonist, that you made their needs the priority to the audience.
Okay, I understand that, yes.
It puts a different narrative context and goals around it and a different moral outlook. And when I'm sure that as storytellers who we all feel our stories can be powerful and all this stuff, when you look up and you see someone like Elon Musk and Donald Trump being softened for the rest of us, you do get this moment of like, wait a minute, that's people taking my story and looking at the real life person and going, why can't we root for them? And so I think that's a big deal,
Yeah, and now that part I do agree with from that perspective. Like you said, I haven't seen it, so for me, my perspective is a little different on that. And so for me, I understand that versus, like you say, if they would have told Breaking Bad from the wife's perspective or something like that, y'all have been like, God damn, she have an ain't shit husband. But because it was told from his perspective,
right, all
of a sudden she's a fucking lunatic who should stay with her husband regardless of somebody that she married is a fucking teacher, and all of a sudden he want to be a kingpin. Anybody in their right mind that was like, no bitch, something's wrong here.
Jason says, yeah, America has always been had a fascination with the bad guy. Mob movies have been big forever, but there's absolutely was a cynicism that grew up in the 90s. Once the Joker became more popular than Batman in 1990, it was a wrap. It might have something to do with the wholesale of America in the 80s when factories closed and we learned how corrupt the police and politicians really were. Nobody really trusted the good guy anymore. I know y'all aren't wrestling fans, but that's how the 80s good guy is Hulk Hogan, but the 90s good guy is Stone Cold Steve Austin. Anyway, it's always great when Chris, where the white women at, Lambert joins the show. Poor dude, he's gonna have to go full Umar to get these snow bunny allegations thrown out. I know his special is gonna be dope. Lastly, with that Joshua Jackson story was sad. I guess he's trying to mighty duck that child support.
They're good. That's hilarious.
Let's see. Jane says, really interesting point about writing less bad guys as protagonists. I do think entertainment and edgelord culture definitely affects the way the general public is perceiving real life bad guys, especially in political spaces. They see a billionaire running the table on them and they think of them as a misunderstood character instead of a clear threat. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I knew something was up when they tried to tell us that Elon Musk Nazi salute has anything to do with autism. It's just one of those, like, I don't even know how stupid you think I am or how stupid you are.
Right. There's too many people out here that are autistic that does not do this.
Right.
Wouldn't even think or dream about doing this. So what are you talking
Maybe
about?
he just an autistic Nazi. How about that?
Right.
That's a possibility too, world. Jenny says, I usually listen on Apple Podcasts. I had to come to YouTube to comment on this specific episode due to the local news anchor conversation. Mia Gradney on Houston KHOU 11 CBS is my baby. She is so beautiful and impeccably styled at all times. During the pandemic, they let her host the CBS National News one night, and I could not have been prouder. I see you.
That's sweet.
Listen, they be fine. The poll, do you enjoy dating? Yes. No, I'm not currently dating. 75% of people are not currently dating. 16% do not enjoy dating. And 9.5% are actually enjoying dating. Shout out to the 9. All right, before we get into the last episode, let's get some more music so I can put some more commercials in here. Y'all know what it is. We'll be right back. All right. Episode 3057, Negro to Caucasian translation. 7 comments. Let's get into it. Autumn VO says, that Missouri doctor from Guess the Race must have heard it was the show me state and took it literally. Unbelievable.
Oh, no.
Yeah, he was showing everybody me. It's the show meat state. Ramsey D. Jenkins says, good morning, family. Regarding replacing the readout, the weekend host Alicia Menendez, Michael Steele, and Simone Sanders Townsend will shift to 7 p.m. hour while hosting a 2-hour show on Monday from 7 to 9. Looking forward to Friday, February 28th live show. Thank you, Ramsey D. Jenkins. And I guess I didn't even think about that, but I guess they're replacing Joy Reid with like a panel of these people,
That's what it
which is
sounds
funny
like.
because it's the DEI panel, right? It's black, Latino, women. Anyway, we'll see how that works out.
We will.
It's very weird with that stuff because on the one hand, I totally agree that there's a exodus of blackness and certain type of minorities and whatnot out of these media spaces, but also I would not put it past them to also have been like, it's just time for some new blood. They make it very hard to make a specific racial case on an individual level, but the vibes feel off. It feels like when you look around at who lost jobs, it's like these people seemed a lot more expendable than some of their colleagues. Rice writes in to say, hey everyone, when I started watching anime 10 years ago, I felt like the content ratings were lacking. There was a mature badge for genitalia, but nothing if there was 5 minutes of sexually violent scene with screaming but no private part shown. There's also used to be sexually suggestive dating simulator using small child characters. Hopefully it's been taken down. So I did file a federal complaint. Damn. I've never seen the dating simulators with small children. I don't know. I didn't even know that was
A thing.
anime thing. I ain't made it to them reaches of anime. But yeah, I do think they just got better at the thing, because I've always known that there were some that were rated mature, but they had to be like NC-17 level to get a mature rating.
Right.
And there's all kinds of times I watch anime and I'm like, this is definitely implying there might be sexual assault. This is definitely implying that there's definitely like suicidal ideation and imagery here. Like, so I guess maybe they're just getting better about that. Also, with it coming from a different culture, they may feel differently about what requires a warning and compared to us.
Yes, and what doesn't. Yes.
Especially when a lot of American culture equates anything animated with children. So we may have dismissed it broad, like we may not have the respect and reverence for the genre that Japanese people do, where they're like, of course there's mature themes. Just because it's animated, why would it not be?
Yes.
Whereas in America, it's like you need to put a warning on it because people are like, my kid's watching a cartoon, and it's like, no, your kid's watching a cartoon, but the themes about it are not really for kids.
Yep, that's why I said the Scooby-Doo and shit like this. You know, I know a lot of generations get older, they have an understanding about that, but a certain generation still think that's what all cartoons are, and you're like, no, that's not true.
Let's go on to the next comment. I 100% agree, Rod. I don't participate in the weird nicknames folks give Trump or find them amusing at all. It's always weird when I see people typing it like, what does that do for you really? And let's go, Brandon is whack as fuck. But then I expect whack shit from the right, Suave. Yeah, today I saw somebody with a stick on the back of the SUV that was Donald Trump in the Barack Obama meme colors. Y'all know the one from his first Hope campaign or whatever. But it was Donald Trump. He was doing 2 middle fingers to whoever was behind them, and it said fuck Joe Biden. Pure error, Al. You know, just like, in addition to grow the fuck up, what do you think that even says about you? Because that's not even a goddamn policy. That's not.
He doesn't have policies.
These people just want to see other people hurt. They don't have a thing that they want out of Donald Trump other than other people hurting. Yep. Which is sad that we're sharing a country with these motherfuckers. But, you know, enough people moved out the way and let these people win. So I guess it's their country for balls in their court right now. And it's up to us to get it back if we're going to fight for it. Because you got to keep that same energy. And it's easy for me to keep that same energy because I can keep the main thing. I don't really need these people to be perfect as Democrats. I just need them to be better than Republicans.
Agreed.
And I don't really need to do a lot of like arguing and going back and forth about it. Those are the choices. That's what we have. And until the rest of y'all kind of wake up, that the ones who are on the outside who are looking at this go down, or who are on the other side, until they wake up to what the fuck is happening, that's just where I'm gonna be.
You agreed. And like I said, as long as you're better than Republicans, I am content with that. And that's my bar. Like, I don't gotta like you, we ain't gotta be best friends, like, you know, you ain't gotta make me feel good. Are you against them? Yes. Okay, let's fucking go.
Let's see. Sean says, your discussion about stepping back from the news hit hard. It's especially frustrating when Kamala spent almost none of her time talking about trans issues, but the right-wing media made it sound like that was all she was talking about. And then the left-wing media complained that she was spending too much time on trans issues. Yeah. I was I wasn't surprised, but I was very let down, disappointed, I guess, or very disheartened by how many people after the loss were like, you know, we really should stop advocating for trans people so loudly. And mostly because it's an abdication of reality, meaning that is not what that campaign she did was about. The old clip they kept showing in that commercial, that was not about anything she was saying at the time. It was literally just fear mongering because people are afraid of trans people. And so the right wing knows that bigotry exists, and they're just like, look, we're going to use the transphobia to just stoke fears. It doesn't need to be real. And for liberal people that claim to stand for that shit, it's also an abdication of a moral responsibility to people within the community that we're supposed to be protecting, to say, listen, fuck y'all, we just need to win. Because you have no proof that you can win by letting trans people go. There's no fucking reason. It's really a fool's errand if you think that that's gonna happen. Agreed. You can't, like, the platform she ran was smart in that she did not make her campaign was not about trans issues. And I mean that in a savvy, smart way, meaning I think it is smart. And I say this as a black person. So matter of fact, let me switch it up. Because I don't want people thinking like, oh, you talking about trans people, but you're not trans. What do you know? Let's just go straight to black. Fuck every other issue. Just only stuff that helps black people. I'm a person that said, I don't need a politician running on defund the police if they gonna fucking lose.
Right.
I don't need them to do that for me.
If you're gonna lose, it don't matter.
What I need you to do is win. And then when it is time to do the budget for the police, to be like, no, I'm not going to keep increasing your fucking budget exponentially every year. You don't need a fucking tank to govern a town of 200 people. Go out there and do some Mayberry shit like you supposed to be doing.
Right.
That's it. Now, you can't run on that. Like, there's no fucking campaign ad of like...
Can't run on that.
But you can, just through what the topics you choose to discuss and the way you govern, you can run a winning campaign and then be like, yeah, I never really talked about that shit because y'all know what I'm on. I'm about to help these people. I don't like, there's no reason for me to, I don't have anything negative against trans people. I'm going to help people. I don't have anything negative against black people. I'm going to help black people. That's what I would like politicians to do, is to just win the race and then we can do that later. But I don't want them feeling like I must throw these people under the bus too. It sounds like a thin line, and it is a thin line, but it means something to me. Mm-hmm. I don't need you throwing me under the bus to try to win. That's fucked up. That does go too far. And I don't think it is a winning strategy. Just like, you know, and I think in some ways black people enjoy a little bit of a luxury here, in that we know within the powers of the Democratic Party, very few times will we truly, truly be pushed down and thrown under the bus. It's not that it's never happened. It can happen. It might even happen again. But it's not something that happens to us often, right? Compared to other people within the party that may have different degrees of marginalization than us. There are some people that is seen as okay to do that too. Mm-hmm. So if you need to throw trans people under the bus, people do that all the time. Honestly, if you need to throw a woman's right to an abortion, there are Democrats who have done that before because they figure they can still win with the math there. Black people, we kind of enjoy a luxury where our oversized presence in the party mean you can't really do a lot of that and be a viable candidate. But I know that's what they're doing. That's what Republicans want to happen to trans people, and I think Democrats will be making a moral and a tactical mistake to do that to trans people, to cast them out of the party, to cast their issues aside as if they don't matter. I think that's a mistake, and I hope they don't fall for it, because I really do feel like that will come back to haunt people, because you're not going to win, in my opinion, by turning into Republican light on trans issues of like, you know, I also don't really support the trans people. I tolerate them. Well, sure, it's better than I would like trans people to not exist, but it ain't much better, and it ain't really a rallying cry, in my opinion.
No, and the way I see it, it's a big tent, and so when you start doing this, the tent get a little smaller.
Yeah.
And also, it's one of my things where I've always felt like this. Once you start eliminating all these schisms and isms, I'm on that list. Like you cannot go against one group of people that ain't me, and I'm not, and I don't think I'm not on the menu. Mm-hmm. I do not know what's wrong with black people to think that they're so fucking superior that they are never on the menu. Just because the gun ain't pointing at you now don't mean the gun ain't gonna point at you later.
Yeah. Because I really do think that same logic does work for black issues at some point.
Right.
The math doesn't math today, but at some point, if you keep ceding ground to like, well, Republicans kicked our ass with this, like Republicans really appealed to racists, how we get that racist vote, at some point you do start just getting into the slippery slope of, now you actually are Republican light. And I know people say that shit flippantly, and I don't like when they do that, because I think it does matter, the context and everything, but there's a world where Democrats literally can be 1 degree better than Republicans because of the game theory of people just choosing not to vote for the things that they complain about. They still blame everyone but themselves, even though a large chunk of the blame falls on the poor excuse of reporting an absurd move to push Biden out. I'm not bitter. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, he said, but after the exacerbating punditocracy of the left-wing media forced Biden out, something they still say was a popular push from the people rather than a bunch of pundits theory crafting a min-maxed candidate and trying to have a competitive selection process while pretending that there was no primary. Yeah, that was trash, and I still think people are fucked up for that. That black dude from the New York Times be still trying to go on Twitter and make rants about Democrats no matter what Republicans do, and that nigga just feel like an op to me. I don't get it. I'm like, bro,
it don't make sense.
You and New York Times did a lot of work, a lot of nasty work. Claim this what y'all wrote. Y'all part of it.
Yes, you are.
Y'all part of it. Like, I don't care. This whole thing where Democrats are the mom from the divorce that does everything to raise the kid, and the kid just wants to be with fun dad. I'm tired of that shit. Like, then go be a fucking Republican then, nigga. Who gives a fuck then? Since you don't care, everything Democrats fault, cool. So when the Nazis come rolling up the street, you're just gonna be yelling about Democrats still.
Right, they gonna get your ass too.
Yeah. EVE says Karen is right, and all the tags on the anime on Crunchyroll about all the tags. I've had a subscription with them for a while. I've noticed that recently they have been putting tags on all the anime. Imagine that they always had a warning on the shonen ones because of the violence, but now they even have them on shoujo and romance and slice of life anime for cursing, sexually suggestive scenes, violence, adult situations, and various acts. They even list the age appropriateness of each anime. That's a recent change. It's usually listed in the anime itself in just a few seconds.
Okay, that makes more sense because, like I say, and like I said, it's not that it wasn't there, but it's literally the first time that I've seen it kind of up in the corner as the anime, like something that actually catch your eye, where I'm like, oh, this ain't always been here. Like, like they said, it's for every single animation. So I might have seen it here or there, like they said, for certain ones. But it's like, what is it, 12 and up, 14 and up, you know, and like you said, they'll describe everything that's, you know, in the series, even though it might not be in that episode. If it's somewhere in the series, they'll list it all, and the thing is, I do a lot of, I watch a bunch of them together. So when I do it, it's like every single episode you see it. So I'm like, oh, y'all want people to know, y'all got it flagged, not just on that first one, y'all got it flagged every time I turn this on.
Yep, I agree. That's kind of where we arrived at, was like, maybe they just upped the new warning system. I love the Jennifer Hudson hallway dance, but I've never seen a single interview. Kind of like I've only ever seen Kelly Clarkson singing on the Kelly Clarkson show. Yes. Yes. It's just an hour-long concert, or does she interview people? The American Idol girls are winning.
Oh,
yes.
You know what? That is true. Yeah, all you see is clips of her having like show-offs or her doing her intro, or she forever singing.
YouTube, love you guys. You make my week. Love your chemistry, says Parish King. Thank you.
Thank you.
Damien says, it's far too many people who haven't learned their lesson from the election. Hopefully things don't have to fall apart completely before people are ready to stand on business. Elon, Doge, and the Trump administration can middle fingers. Koki Negra says, this is hysterical. Ray Gunn says, great show, Rod and Karen. Thank you. Inigual says, hi, Karen. I love how you brought up your shaving your sideburns. As I get older, I realize I've been growing sideburns too. The other day, I decided to shave my face and was shocked at how much hair there was.
Right. You be like, where is peach fuzz coming from? Why I look like, why? All of a sudden, you be like, am I a bear?
Rashad says, fam, they are tussing jewels, bruv. It's a madness. That was funny. Tussing jewels. Kenico says, break a leg with the live show. Thank you. Listen, we broke all the legs. Christoph says, Karen, you're my favorite sit-down comedian. Is his partner Deuces Wild? Yes, that was funny. A. Gray Bay says, as an Arkansas living in Texas, that doctor making us look worse than we already do. That's everybody. The poll was, does Jennifer Hudson have an actual show? 48% of y'all say yes, 52% say no. I'm gonna go in the no area.
All I see is the walk downs.
I think you go to the studio, it's just that hallway, you walk down the hallway, and once you get out the hallway, you're back at your car somehow.
Right,
like,
you can go home.
What happened? All right, y'all, we got some voicemails coming up. Let's get to these. What's crazy is Skype is ending May 1st. That's where our voicemail is from, Skype.
Oh.
So I guess I'm going to have to get a Google Voice number,
not?
and I'm assuming it won't be the same number, but I'll look into it. I just haven't had time to figure out how to transfer the number.
So they getting rid of RIP Skype?
dog, they just shut it down. They no one's ever
Teams.
fumbled a bag the way they fumbled that bag.
Yes, they had a 3-1 lead.
Yep. Jen gives us our first voicemail on the voicemail line.
Rod and Karen, it's Jen. Hope you're having a great weekend. Thank you for all the episodes this week. I love them as always. I was listening to an episode this week about the Mio products, and I was gagged because I had heard about this hair loss issue, and I had some products here that I stopped using. Then when I heard your episode, I was like, wow, that was all a scam. This is crazy. So I was like, let me look it up. Let me see what's going on. I think I saw the same like Shade Room article. And so I like read the article, and then I went to the Shade Room Instagram, and the comments were out of control. So I was like, okay, I can use the products again. It was just all scam. But then the comments were like, no, baby, my cousin lost all her hair, or like my hair was falling out, this and this and that. So now I'm like, I'm not going to chance it. I don't know if it's just gotten too far, but I don't want to risk it. I didn't have any issues, to be honest, when I was using it. I only used it for maybe like a few months. I have locks too, so it's like different. It's not like a whole lock's going to come out my head from oil or something like that. But I just don't want to chance it. But the comments were crazy. They said, baby, you can't pay a whole comment section. It was really funny. So I'm going to steer clear. I mean, those products are probably going to stay on the shelf for now. I found some other good ones that I like, so it's all good. But I just thought that was funny. It's still interesting that it's coming out that somebody was paid to do that, because, I mean, that's what an influencer is, regardless of whether they're talking about the product in a negative or positive way. But I'm going to steer clear for now. You guys are great. Have a great weekend. Bye.
Bye.
And so all that means is that if what they said is false, the propaganda worked. Like, you calling in going, I'm not going to take the chance. Never, never, never.
Yeah.
You know,
that's kind of the
point.
problem, right?
And then the damage is done regardless of, that's the thing. And I do understand your perspective, because regardless if it's true or not, there's nothing that she could say, even if she's telling the truth, that this person was paid. Once that shit gets out there, it can literally tank your reputation and your product.
And black women not finna be playing with their hair. So that's a non-starter. Like, if it's just even a 5% chance the shit gonna fuck your hair up, like, black women like, I'm good on that then. And so when you're saying like make people's hair fall out and stuff, like, that's a non-starter. So I definitely feel you on not taking a chance.
I do too.
Man, that's just sad for her if she's telling the truth.
Right. That's like, my thing. If they're telling
obviously
the truth,
we can't know for sure, but if she's telling the truth, man, that's sad as fuck.
Yeah, and also the other side part about it, regardless of who makes the product and things like that, all products ain't made for everybody's hair, and everybody doesn't always have a great experience, right. just period anyway. And so these may have been people that, not that everybody's lying, that just may not have had a great experience with the product.
Yeah.
And so, this was just an excuse for a lot of them to just come out and shit on something, a product that and I get it, that did not work for them and their hair for whatever reasons. Yeah. But for a large, wouldn't it be surprised for a large percentage of people to use a product, they don't have a problem.
Well, you just can't put shit past anybody on the internet. I think more important than anything she was saying on her thing is our ecosystem of influencers as commercials is not as consistent and not even restricted, but as monitored for truth and reliability as some of our other vehicles. But
they don't have any boundaries, any rules, regulations. They don't have any things they must follow, no checklist or anything like that. Nobody holds them accountable. But
in a world where our commercials are very much the same, in some ways, it can feel that way. But I would hope and guess, but you just never know. But I would hope that if she made it into Target and people were buying her products in mass, you would hope that it's not like making people's hair fall out and the only people that are talking about it are paid influencers, in the comment section. You hope. I don't know. All right, next voicemail.
Roddy, Karen, what's good? Wanted to give a quick shout out and give some feedback from the feedback show. And for frame of reference, I'm the guy that called in that said he damn near killed himself after the Candace Owens segment a couple of weeks ago. I usually don't get into people's relationships, but I'm going to get into yours. It's been weird to listen to, as a longtime listener, to listen to so many people comment on how you and Karen get down on the show, but almost insinuate different things about the relationship. The bottom line is, to be with somebody for 15 years is hard. To have a successful business, especially a podcast, for 15 years shows how rock solid the relationship is. And the bottom line is, man, I just called to say I love the fact that, and love the way that you, quote unquote, offer those individuals feedback and tell them to mind their own damn business. So the bottom line is, keep ethering the haters and keep doing what y'all doing. Appreciate y'all both. Peace.
Thank you, fam.
Thank you, baby.
Yeah, and it's a fine line because, like, I do recognize that it's a parasocial relationship, and I do recognize that we are putting ourselves out there in some ways that allow people to speculate on the dynamic that we have and, to comment on this public product and all this stuff. And so maybe I'm a hypocrite for trying to have it both ways, but to some extent, regardless of how they may feel about it, this is still the person I'm sharing every day of my life with, and you gonna have some motherfucking respect. That's all. That's all. We not telling nobody they have to like the show or what we do. But if you take the time to write up here, we're gonna take the time to listen and read it. But at the same time, leave the shade at the crib. Like, don't come in here with the half-ass, half-cocked coming into our house just talking shit, because I don't play like that.
No, and it's one of them things. You can't come in my house and I fuck your couch and think I'm just gonna be like, oh, it's all good, you being cute. No, bitch, I'm gonna have something to fucking say. You're in my house. Right.
So it's just, if you think you can do a better job, start your podcast, and maybe you're right. But my guess is you can't. And don't be weird. That's it. It just seemed like an easy thing to not be weird, but sometimes people just be weird for no reason. And mine left the last voicemail.
Hey, Rod. Hey, Karen. It's Iman. It's been a while, but I'm looking forward to watching the playback of the show. I couldn't watch live because it was the first night of Ramadan, so we were doing other things, but I'm really excited to watch it with my husband later. But one thing, because I keep forgetting to call in about it, because it's been getting on my nerves every time someone writes or calls in about Karen, and it's episodes ago. It's probably like from earlier this month, or wait, no, it's March.
Let me just pause right there. It's never too late to go up for Karen. Okay. I will grant you guys a time exemption. Okay. I don't care if it's been a year.
Because everybody be catching up at certain periods of time. But I don't just say nothing about my Karen.
Whenever and you know why I say that specifically, because it's never too late for these fucking haters, right?
Oh, they will find the time.
That woman that wrote that last one was on vacation. She missed the episode. Right, she was catching up. Shit. And here she go with an uninformed, unwanted opinion. So you know what? Yo, informed and wanted opinion. If you think it's a little late, it ain't. It's never too
right
late.
On time.
Now, so it was earlier in February where this episode happened, where Karen made a point, and you were like, oh, that's a really good point, Karen. I changed my mind. And that stuck with me, because every time since then, people kept writing or calling in talking about Karen. I was like, she makes points and all the time where it changes Rod's mind. It's like, and usually.
I think, I'll pause it one more time. I'm sorry. I wonder if it's because I don't really have much of an ego about changing my mind. Do they feel like.
And you don't make a demand on me.
Yeah, or do they just feel like they they want to fight so that I have to be like, damn, I lost.
Yeah. Because I'm pick sides.
I'm very easy, like, in general. I'm like, I feel strongly about things, but I'm pretty like, okay, new information. All right, shit, that's a good point.
That's right.
I just don't. Why would I be hung up on it? I don't know everything, and I'm not perfect, and I can't possibly know everything. It really is not a big deal to change my fucking mind is when presented with new information. The same way that just because I present someone new information doesn't mean I'm like dunking on them. Sometimes it's just like, oh, but have you thought about this? So anyway, I wonder if I'm supposed to be like defeated, and then they be like, you know what, Karen bringing a lot to the show today.
Yeah,
Rod damn near cried.
Yeah, also, oh, poor thing. Also, I think that people view arguments differently. And I think when it comes to people, quote unquote, not seeing eye to eye and having an argument, because a lot of people, in my personal opinion, they treat arguments as a win lose, not always a compromise, and not always a coming to a consensus, particularly in relationships. So they figure out it always has to be a winner. It always has to be a loser. You know, I'm keeping tallies. I'm keeping points and things like that. A lot of people look at arguments as I'm raising my voice. I'm going to flex my muscles. I'm going to demand certain things. I'm going to call you out your name. And if you don't do these things that I've been taught from various different places in my environment, if you don't do these things, y'all are not arguing. If you don't do these things. I think
also a lot of these people, you listen to the show and maybe they think there's a point that they would have made or something, you know, like, but two comments in the chat. Mary says maybe Rod change his mind music. That's a great point, and we might need that.
We might need that Rod change.
We might need that. We might need to make a note every single time that my mind is changed, so that we can be like, this is what not just Karen, other people bring to the show. It's not the Rod monologue every week. And then the other thing is Tony said, bro, don't overthink it. It's fucking misogyny. Agreed. I agree. I'm not, to me it's that simple, but I'm willing to entertain, like, I'm willing to think of, like, why is the misogyny being triggered here? Or why is what is this about, like, Karen that needs to have a fucking, like, thing? I'm recognizing and respecting her opinion. I'm treating it, and I'm not, like, pandering. I'm not doing the fake thing that people do where it's like, I want to look like a good husband, so I'm going to pretend that she's making a good point. No, whenever I think she's saying something I don't understand, I'm like, can you explain? Whenever she's saying something where, you know, I disagree, I try to be like, oh, this is what I think instead of that. I'm like, it's not even anything fake is what's crazy. It's all 100%. Like, if there was no camera, if there was no recording,
we would still
these are the conversations we have.
Yes.
Now, part of it is buoyed in a love and respect and years of understanding each other.
Agreed.
To where there's certain things I think if I was talking to a stranger or a friend or a colleague or a coworker, maybe I wouldn't even broach certain topics with them because motherfuckers be so goddamn sensitive. You can't even be like, can you explain that, without them being like, what the fuck you mean? I gotta explain.
Right.
But in general, it's like, we're having these conversations because it is a healthy place to have these conversations.
Yes.
So
yeah. And also, now I'm a lot more animated than Roderick as far as like the inflection of my voice and things like that. And also, I think because you're more soft-spoken too, a lot of people try to come at you, you know, because of that, because, you know, and shit like that. But it's just, at the end of the day, it's one of the things where me and Roderick love each other, and I not trying to be funny, and maybe I'm flexing my muscles. I'm sorry you have a dysfunctional vision of what an argument is and how you think you should treat your spouse and mate, because everybody has their own different perspectives on how these things are viewed. But in my life, in my perspective, as you grow and as you mature, and for me personally, I love Roderick. I don't want to argue with Roderick, and I don't want to debate with him. Every time I open up the door and go outside this house, it is a world that I have to fucking fight. I personally refuse to come home and fight you too, nigga. I refuse. If I gotta come and fight you, bitch, I will be alone. Your house has got to be a place of peace, and you have to have enough respect and enough understanding, enough compassion, enough consideration for the person or people that you choose to be with, and have understanding to their feelings and emotions, and open up yourself enough to look at another perspective outside of yourself. You are not always right. You do not know the answers. You can only view things from your perspective and the life that you live. But when you're interacting with a whole nother ass human being, you have to understand they're not going to see it like you do. They cannot read your mind. They do not know what you're going to do all the time. You have to use your words and be an adult and have hard-ass conversation that you don't want to have about whatever the thing is going on in your life. People don't want to do that. These are things that you need to do, baby. Go to therapy, therapists, get your medication, whatever you need to do. And a lot of this is you taking all these things in your life and reflecting them back on me and my husband husband like it is my problem. It is not. You are the one with the problem. You are the one that needs to seek whatever consultation that you need to get yourself in a peaceful place where you wouldn't think twice about me and my relationship.
Facts.
He doesn't always say, sometimes you might not say, oh, I changed my mind. You just press the sound. You're like, Karen be knowing, or open your third eye, and then you're just adding to the show. But it's really just been getting on my nerves every time someone does that. I'm just like, do people not understand how people talk to each other? It's just like, people make points. Or sometimes Karen is making a completely different point than you were making, and you have to explain what the point is that you were making. And that's why she changes her mind. It's just a normal back and forth conversation. And I don't understand, like, people don't understand how folks talk to each other. It's like, especially people who love each other talk to each other. And I don't know. I just want to call in and say that. But yes, I hope y'all had a great show. I'm really excited about watching it.
Oh, baby.
And that was it. I'll say bye-bye. Bye-bye. Yeah, bye-bye. Love y'all.
That's a big one for me too, is like I think people definitely get fucked up because people don't always do this, but this is the way my brain works. A lot of times when someone is trying to make a different point than the one I'm making and we're having a conversation, I like to recognize to them and me that I know they're making a different point, and if they realize it or not, I want them to know, like, this is not specifically what I'm addressing. That doesn't invalidate what you're addressing, but these are two different points. Mm-hmm. And because we don't like go over the show together before we start, that's gonna happen a lot because our minds think differently. So I could be like, oh, I was in the buffet line the other day and I noticed blank, and Karen's like, you know what I hate about buffets is this. Those are two different points. It doesn't mean that's where I was going with mine, and it doesn't mean we can't talk about that, but I just want it recognized. And I think sometimes people even see that as a disagreement. It's like, I'm not disagreeing, I'm separating this so that we don't even have to. That's not about agreeing or disagreeing. It's just, that's a different thing. Here's what I mean specifically, and I just communicate that way because I find that to be healthier and more efficient to communicate that way than to do the thing where I hear a lot of people do, where you, especially a lot of people who have a lot of arguments, you hear in the conversation where the split occurs, where one person was thinking about one thing totally valid, another person brought up a different thing totally valid, and they just started going back and forth, and they weren't really having the same conversation anymore. Mm-mm. You know what I mean? So it's like, if, for example, if it's like, I'm talking about people running stop signs, and you're talking about people running traffic lights. Seems like a small thing. That little moment, 5 minutes from now, we could be at each other's throats, and we have stopped talking about the same shit 5 minutes ago. I hear it happen so often in most podcasts, mm-hmm. especially like the ones where people like arguing like sports and fucking like nerd shit and stuff, where they like to argue. That's the point. Where you're just like, wait, y'all are two reasonable people. Y'all probably agree more than disagree. Mm-hmm. But if you stop it and go, wait a minute, y'all are talking about two different things. You know, and I study this kind of stuff for, you know, like just in my recreational time. One of the reasons I still like watching sports talk is because it's frivolous, but it's a very good place to learn about rhetorical argument techniques and how people debate and how people think. And I like to dissect it to be like, oh, Stephen A. pulled a sleight of hand. They were talking about people that are the face of the NBA being the most criticized, and he turned it into criticism is nothing but comparing people to the old school, which is honoring the new school. But that's not what they're saying. They're not talking about comparison. He turned criticism into comparison instead of saying, when I'm going in and making angry rants about LeBron James, those are things I never did during Michael Jordan's time period, because these type of shows didn't even exist in that way. Right. So these new stars are dealing with a level of criticism that is not anything that Michael Jordan had to deal with. We've always compared stars, right? We've always said Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's numbers are this and Shaq's numbers are that. That's not what he's talking about. But if you successfully do that sleight of hand, most people will watch that segment, be very pissed off at Stephen A, but they will not recognize when he did the sleight of hand early on. Of like, he switched what we were talking about into these guys are just bitches that don't want to hear nobody like say anything negative about them. That kind of thing is what I think about, and I think about it when we do our show, and that's why it comes up so often where it's like, oh, this is what's happening right now. I'm not seeking to dominate or be dominated. I'm seeking to be effectively understood, and I feel the same from you.
Yeah, and also something else that I realized when it comes to a lot of times when people are having arguments and debates or even just disagreements, people just want to be acknowledged. And I think a lot of times people have these conversations and they're not in good faith.
Right.
And because they're not in good faith, like I've disagreed with people before, and I will repeat back what they said to be sure I understood it. And then I will I acknowledge what you're saying, but understand what I'm saying also.
Right.
And then I will go on with my point.
Right.
To let them know that because most people just want to be heard.
Yep.
And a lot of times when you start talking about arguments and debates and disagreements, people always look at it from a negative perspective. It is not always a negative thing. People look at conflict because it's a form of a conflict, quote unquote, for most people. Mm-hmm. So when people look at something as a conflict, they look at conflict as a negative thing. Conflict is not a bad thing because sometimes you can talk, have different perspectives, even have a conflict,
right,
and still come out better or come out, seeing a different perspective, or come out challenging yourself, or even being a better person, depending on how deep or where the conversation goes,
right,
or even having more respect for that person when you go, oh, I did not know that you knew this, or that person showing you sometimes that they actually respect you, because I think a lot of times, like I said, when people see it, they always look at it as wins and losses, plus and minuses,
I think
wrong and rights.
I think good faith is the thing that people just don't understand it.
Right.
They don't understand that all our conversations are underpinned by good faith.
Yes.
So for them it's just hard. It's and I don't blame them in a world full of so much bad faith actors, where when someone does ask a question, it is like a setup to try to disrespect you or something. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. When somebody does raise their voice, it's because they're yelling at you. I definitely can feel why people would do that, but a lot of it is misogyny, as Tony said, because you know what no one ever writes in about what this is, and I'm not saying they should. I don't want them to, but it's funny that no one ever notices or says it. When Karen is yelling into the microphone very intensely, no one ever writes in with like, Karen, can you stop yelling at Rod or whatever? No one misunderstands that shit. Now it could just be she yelling and y'all don't want the smoke, so y'all just like, let me leave her alone. But it is funny that over 3,000 episodes, no one's ever been like, damn, maybe maybe Rod is afraid to disagree with his wife. It's always she's afraid to
twice, Rod.
Right, that's how you know it's misogyny. It's always she's afraid to disagree with me. I'm normally the one talking pretty calm and being jovial. She the one that be going off on motherfuckers and yelling and shit. If anyone's in here trying to make sure that their opinions is walking on fucking eggshells, shouldn't it be me? What the fuck are y'all talking about?
Shouldn't it be me?
She agree with him. Maybe I agree with her. Maybe that's the thing. Maybe why can't I be the one with the fake opinions that's just trying to be like, maybe I'm the one that don't want to be abused when the mic's turned off. None of you ever considered that?
No, they did not.
You misogynistic motherfuckers. All right, last segment, emails.
Psycho.
Music.
I feel like I ain't played that one before.
That was new.
First email is from Sid. Shout out to Sid. She's in the chat.
Mm-hmm.
Got me fucked up is the title. Karen, you a classy ass nigga. As an Aries, I can't believe you not eating these stupid bitches for lunch. Probably because your husband actually loves you and you mind your business and it shows. I'm not classy like you, Karen. I'm a Capricorn crash out and they got us fucked up. You speak for me each and every episode.
Oh, thank you, baby.
That's another thing too I think people don't recognize is like we speak for and to different people sometimes.
We do.
And a lot of times when I'm either quiet or not trying to interrupt or just kind of like moving out of the way and letting you complete your full thought, it's because it's not every fucking thing on the show for me. It's a conversation, but not really. It's a conversation and also partially just us getting our thoughts out.
Right.
So if people think the only way to communicate is the way I communicate, then you're a silly motherfucker. That's on you. Like that's silly.
It 100% is. And also I think for me, because I know I really do have a very fiery personality, kinda, you know, my energy level and stuff can be high, and when I'm angry, I'm slow I try my best to be slow to anger, like to really angry, you know, like a lot of times what y'all hear is not anger. What y'all hear is just a lot of times more than frustration and things like that. Y'all have heard anger on here, don't get me wrong, but like when I am like angry, it is not a mental place that I like to be. So I try my best to be very, very rational and very logical about about a lot of things. Because what I realize about emotions, particularly anger, can give you the illusion of control that you actually don't have.
Also, sometimes you need to hear the same shit different ways. It might reach somebody through Karen that I wouldn't be able to reach, and vice versa.
Agreed.
Like we agree on a lot of shit, but sometimes the way you agree in the things you say just reach different people. Starting with the beautiful southern accent and impeccable and frequent use of nigga, the way you cut through people's shit and consistently remind them that the South is the source of black resistance and black political power, that we are not stupid, and the way you are so confident and comfortable being you, doing you, showing up, and knowing you carry all that ass, whether they see or not, because it's back there, because you can't fool a booty detective.
Not the booty detective. That's hilarious.
Real, so recognize real. The grace.
you and Rob been teaming up?
I'm just saying. We probably follow a lot of the same IG accounts. I don't know. The grace and the mercy you bestow on these corny motherfuckers should be studied. Never without a smile, a joke, or a hey baby. The type of woman you can only find below the Mason, baby. And she did the fingernail payment emoji.
Thank you, baby.
I honestly feel bad that they don't see your brilliance, but I'm glad I found you and will always be a fan. You have taught me and affirmed me, and most of all, you always make me laugh, so fuck they nasty ass opinions. Watch our mouth when you talk about one of QC's finest. 3 mad huffing the smoke out of the nose angry emojis. Yes.
Thank you.
Agreed. That's the other reason sometimes I'll read those things, because I'll be like, the audience finna go in. Like, then you gonna...
Because overall, y'all know me, I don't be bothering nobody. I mind my business. I literally don't be bothering nobody. And I tell people, I don't decide, even in real life, I tell people, I be like, if you don't like me, baby, I am not the problem. It is 100% you.
Let's see. Adabola says, hey, this is Adabola. Thanks so much for recommending the number 111 mahogany and teak candle. Oh yeah, fan got that on the Amazon wish list. Yo, that's the best. That is top 2 candles I've ever smelled. Top 2. Okay, number 1 is between the pineapple cake joint from the DW candle.
Did you candle find?
Yeah, it was like pineapple upside down birthday. It was like 3 different weird things mixed. That was, god damn, that candle was good. And then that mahogany and teak though, nah, I see why it costs so much. I that's why I put it on the wish list. I can't afford to be getting them candles all the time, but listen, that person hooked me up. I said, damn. I bought this expensive ass to me, nigga, to everybody. Okay, that candle was at least 2 eggs. I bought this expensive ass to me candle off Amazon. It was well worth it. Smells so good. I made jollof rice yesterday and my house smelled like it scents. I don't like that. I don't want my house smelling like food. Oh man, I feel conflicted about that, because like on the one hand, if my food be smelling good and it's banging, I do like opening the door and being like, I made this. I'm responsible for this smell. It smells so delicious. But also, like, if I ate the food already, now I'm just hungry for what I had made. And it's like, I don't want my house smelling like
what I done made.
Food I cannot have access to at this moment. That's bullshit. It's lit when the jollof is in there still in the fridge and you can just microwave it. It's not lit when it's like, nigga, jollof day was Tuesday. It's Thursday. We back to ramen pride up in this bitch.
Right, we back to the budgets.
Just taking a bite and sniffing the air, hoping the taste transfer
through the smoke.
It's lit. I lit this candle up today and it smells like mahogany and teak in this bitch. Definitely worth the price. Love y'all's recommendations. You also recommended Vinland Saga 7 weeks ago. Oh yeah, I loved it.
Vinland Saga is great. I think they're coming out with another season.
Yeah.
Yes.
That last season, legitimately, no joke, I cried.
Yes.
That was one of the best episodes like near the finale.
Yes.
That was one of the best episodes of all time. And I cannot believe the character arc they gave
that character.
I cannot believe
Oh my gosh. The thing I love about Vinland Saga is one of the few, it's similar. I think you said the same team, maybe the second season that did Attack on Titans, right? And you can tell from when he was a little boy to as the character grows into an adult, the way that they make the animation emote, like I can't explain it, is unreal. Because like whenever they feelings are intense, you're like, oh my gosh, whatever you feeling, baby, I believe that you are like you almost like a real person jumped off the screen. That shit is beautiful, and it
takes so many chances.
Yes.
It's an anime that can go from like Attack on Titan action heavy to some of the dramatic beats of the next season and still be as compelling. Like when the action stopped, I never thought, now I'm bored. When are they gonna fight?
Nope.
I just followed that journey of that character. It's so good, and I know somebody catching them hands again before the story over.
Woo, yes, they are.
They just not gonna know who they fucking with. But the fact that I truly felt a sense of that character change. Oh my God, what a show!
Yes, sir. I can't wait till next season. Like you said, somebody walk up on him, but like, oh, bitch, you don't know who you crossed.
I mean, and honestly, at this point, I could see a way that you walk up on him and he isn't just gonna respond in kind, but it's the fact that we know he got it like that.
If he wants to.
Yeah. What a show. I watched it. I loved it. Thanks, y'all. No problem. And I'm glad you enjoyed that number 111 soy candle after dark mahogany teak, because that shit is hitting. Shout out to Lulu Candles, okay? Professor Corey, Caritha says, Dear Rod, I hope this message finds you well. I just had to drop a note and say how freaking fabulous your coon countdown is.
Done wrapped it up for the month.
I got one more to go. I'm on day 28. Yesterday we were so busy I didn't have time to record.
Okay.
But I will finish it today, and you guys will see who the number one coon is. A masterful combination of humor and incisive cultural critique. You are right that it's something most of us can't share too publicly, but you're also right about how much we appreciate it. So damn good. Yo, first of all, I'm pretty sure they suppressed it on Twitter this year because everybody was like, I didn't even see it this year. And I'm like, I've done it on Twitter every day. I made it a thread. I just thought maybe people wasn't feeling it as much, but I've been telling y'all, Elon Musk and them are on Twitter. They don't want certain shit getting out.
Yeah, and they will purposely not allow it to naturally flourish on its own and keep it out of most people's timelines.
Which is fine. I'm not beholden to any of these platforms.
Right.
TikTok is still doing well. People still love it on TikTok. But the big shocker was Instagram. My Instagram blew up. Woo. Instagram sent me a message and made me get 2-factor authentication because they said I am now an account that reaches too many people.
Oh.
So like I guess somebody might want to hack me now that I'm out here calling these people coons and people sharing it. So
shout out to you.
Yeah, so shout out to the people on Instagram. They really enjoying the content. Congratulations to you and Karen on another live show. That's a gift to us too. I hope your experience of it is everything you want and more. It was great. Like I said, I will get the people the recording. I'll figure out the audio thing on both sides so that we get some really good audio, or at least passable. I don't want to over promise, but passable enough audio for y'all to enjoy the replay of it.
Right.
And that may take a few days. Like I said, it normally takes a few days for Balto to like get that, because like a 3-camera setup, they got to do a bunch of shit before him to get that together. And then I can, see how that works out. But thank you, and wish you could have been there, but I know you stay in demand, booked and busy.
Child.
So one of these
you out there
days,
being fabulous.
one of these days, you're gonna make it down, and we're gonna get to hug your face. Last one is TGIF from Amy, who says, "Hello, Rod and Karen. Wanted to say I've been listening to your show since I started listening to Rod on Foolishness Fridays.
Yay.
Really love your podcast. It's really refreshing and entertaining take on daily news stories. I will be attending the live show via Zoom Friday. Really looking forward to it. I also wanted to mention about the president and grifter. Be careful to make sure he was found liable for sexual abuse. I only mention it in case these dumbass people who listen that support that grifter. Stay safe, and thanks for the laughs. Can't wait till Friday." Oh yes, I see what you're saying, because he sued the news organization. Although I think they just copped out, but whatever. I feel you. I don't want to smoke with the fucking with getting sued by the president either. But also, we do a comedy show. A lot of stuff is covered under the comedy license, so, and parody. So we got that going for us. But I don't know. I think I've been pretty good about not calling him directly a rapist, because I think that's what he sued about. Not that I'm concerned or care that much about. I don't think we're on his radar being sued, but like so I'm pretty sure that I have not called him that. I think I've been able to say like he's been found liable of sexual harassment and sexual assault, which I believe he was. So let me just make sure that that's right. But yeah, I thought he was found convicted of that. It's funny. This nigga, sexual abuse. There you go. It's funny because this nigga got 34 felonies. I forgot. Not that I forgot he was a felon. I forgot, like, when I went to go Google Trump found guilty, it was like, here's 33 other things too. I'm like, oh, that is right. We just let this shit be in charge of the country. We don't give a fuck.
Sure did.
Yeah, sexual abuse is what he was found guilty of, I guess. The verdict was split, finding him responsible for a lesser degree of sexual abuse. So he's a sexual abuser is what he's been found guilty of. So you're right. I'll try not to do anything that's going to get us sued, because y'all like this show and y'all want it to stay on the air, and I do too. I don't want to be in court wasting my fucking time.
Right.
Although I think maybe I'm just an asshole like this, but I honestly, if forced to retract, I have no problem retracting something like that, because I feel like y'all would look me right in the eyes and go, I know this nigga just don't feel like going to court. Like, y'all, I don't think anybody would be like, yeah, man, he clearly thinks Trump innocent. They just be like, this nigga just said whatever I got to say to just stay out of court, you freaky ass nigga, and just get back to my podcast.
Right.
Anyway, all right, y'all. Thanks for listening.
What about the gifts?
Oh, yes, the gifts. Thank you, Karen. I meant to mention also, we still have these posters that we have. Like, a lot of these are left. I don't know what we're going to do, guys. I'm not doing what I did last time, where y'all just send us your address and I paid all this money to like buy special poster holders and mail them out. Mostly because that's a lot of work for me, and also it costs a lot of money. So I have to figure something else out. Like, maybe we'll do some type of sell them somehow. Okay. If that's something people are interested in.
You're right.
And I have to figure out a price point where we won't lose money selling them. By the time we pay for the postage and
all that stuff, shipping and handling,
the thing that holds it and the labels and all that shit, I'm guessing $10, but that might not be right. So, but let me, if you're interested in it, I'll figure out a way to like where you can Zelle or Venmo me or some shit, and we'll send it over.
Yeah, figure out the math, figure out how much everything costs.
Yeah, all right. Let's see. We got some stuff that people handed us at the live show last night.
Yeah, in our hands.
Yeah, so people were like coming with gifts and cards and stuff. This is a card. It says the Boston Ducklings. Look at them ducks. On the inside, it says, it's from Stephanie from Boston, who says, Rod and Karen, thank you for being an inspiration and motivation during my tough days. The Black Autism family and the world is better because of you both. Heart emoji. Thanks, Stephanie from Boston. Stephanie. I remember her because I feel like I don't meet a lot of black people from Boston. So I was like, look at this. Y'all exist and y'all cool. Okay. And I'm sorry the Cavs put the screws to you last night, but you know, Jason Tatum shouldn't have been talking that shit. He know what he did. I think she said she don't follow basketball anyway. Not My Hero. Not My Hero Academia.
Yes, My Hero.
It's from Miss Barnes. I should have known. Dear Rod and Karen, I remember that day in December 2018 when I was on a road trip to Georgia and needed a podcast to listen to. Per my friend, I think this is Conla, she suggested you, and I was looking through episodes. I saw that you did Walking Dead recasts. I listened to recasts as well as the other shows. Now it's 2025 and I'm here for my third live show. Yes, she was. Listen, I'm gonna tell you this. If we do something in North Carolina, Miss Barnes gonna be there. I don't know how she be doing it.
Either. I appreciate her.
We was at the library. She popped up on us at the library.
She was like, "Oh, y'all at the library?"
She gonna be at the event. She gonna have her gear on, okay, and she gonna come get this hug. Thank you both so much for everything that you have blessed us listeners with. Please enjoy this bubbly courtesy of McBride Sisters and excellent black-owned winery, Miss Barnes. So she must have been the person that gave us this. It's got like a little fancy ribbon on it. Pour that shit off like some lingerie. We love a sexy wine, okay? Oh, it's called Black Girl Magic Sparkling Bubbly. There you go. By the McBride Sisters. From California. Black Girl Magic is more than a phrase. It's a feeling, a look, a taste. Listen, we've all wanted to taste the Black Girl Magic around here. We all know. We stand. One Black Girl Magic collection is, our Black Girl Magic collection is an ode to our culture and story inspired by the magic and resilience of black women to be enjoyed by all. Thank you. Yes. Then we got this bag, a black bag. Oh, we love a black bag. It's so funny as you get older. It's like all the good stuff comes in black bags.
Don't it though?
Oh, I can't say what these are, but thank you.
You know who you are.
Thank you. Oh, they would be good for good youth. Oh, look at this! Look at this car with this puppy, like a super puppy coming out of an explosion, like an Impossible White Man puppy coming out of a volcano or something. Like he just destroyed Dr. Evil's lair.
Yes.
Rod and Karen, you're like an awesome explosion of awesome. Congrats on the live show, guys. Wishing you both continued success. Enjoy the gift. Peace, Micah. And I think this is Glazier, or is it Glazier? Micah, y'all know who y'all is. Thank you. And we will enjoy these. We will keep the cards. We will share it all.
Oh, yeah. I put it with the rest of my 4,500 cards like an old grandma. I be holding on to everything. And
then I got this glass thing that Sin gave me that I think I need instructions for. So I'll await the DM or the email on what to do with that. For I don't want to hurt myself. All right, that's it, man. Thank y'all for listening. We are definitely taking this week off. We have we had a good time. I feel like, after the live show is a good time for like a little break, a little reset. Hopefully everybody got that information up top about the premium and the live show video stuff and audio. I'll make sure to get that to everybody throughout this week. So I appreciate all y'all, and it was so fun to see y'all. It's so fun to be able to be a show that can do that. And honestly, man, I'm so proud and honored to have the fan base that we have and the family and community we've created. Because look, your faves could never, unless your faves is us. Then your faves did. All right, y'all. Until next time, I love you.
I love you too.
Mwah. Bye, everybody.